Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff, where I promise you we're in beautiful downtown Columbus, Ohio. It's a very sunny day in downtown Columbus, Ohio, and if we were to try to show you what's behind us in downtown Columbus, Ohio, you wouldn't be able to see us. You would just see a lot of buildings. So I promise you we're in downtown Columbus, Ohio, lower.com field, a couple blocks behind us. That's where Atlanta United's going to play tomorrow night against Columbus Crew, and that's why we're in Columbus today. It has been a very busy week since we last spoke to you. 2 matches for Atlanta United, and now Friday morning, a major acquisition in the international transfer market right as the window closes for MLS, 25-year-old Brazilian Luis Araujo.
Yeah, I really like this player. It's not often that you're able to acquire a player from the Ligue 1 champions. We'll talk a little bit about that. He's won a lot of trophies in his career. U17 Copa do Brasil, U20 Copa do Brasil. He was a star in the U20 Copa Libertadores at Sao Paulo. Makes the move to Lille, and what a left foot on Luis Araujo. He was the first acquisition under Marcelo Bielsa at Lille. And we've talked about Bielsa over the years and how Atlanta United teams have had some of the elements of Marcelo Bielsa teams. Well, to get a player that he recruited himself to bring to France makes a lot of sense. He's available because Lille won the title last year in France, but they've lost their manager. They have some financial issues at the ownership level as well, and they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. He's going into the last year of his contract. He was a player that they couldn't renew a new deal with and became available kind of late in the transfer window, and Atlanta United gets the deal done to bring in a talented lefty with this attack, something that they haven't had in a while. Now you've got 3 players up front in Moreno, in Barco, in Araujo, who can dribble and beat people off the dribble, but do it in different ways. They can also score goals themselves, but these are also 3 players that will put in the work off the ball, that will put in the work defensively, and we know that you have to have those complete kinds of players for Atlanta United. Luis Araujo fits that bill. I'm excited to see him in red, black, and gold.
I am too, and hopefully it will be soon. We don't think he's going to play tomorrow night here in Columbus, but hopefully not too much longer after that. And, you know, you still have half the season remaining. You have 18 matches to kind of develop this chemistry, but sometimes, as we've talked about, it's a little easier to develop that chemistry within the confines of a match rather than on the training ground. So I'll be anxious to see how quickly Araujo can come in and start contributing for this team.
Yeah, the good thing about him is I think player profile and style, he's similar to Moreno. He's similar to Barco, and that these are guys who you can drop into a team and their technical ability, they're going to be able to figure it out. So when you get another guy who is comfortable on the ball, comfortable with the combinations, they'll find a common language. They'll find a way to play together. Add Josef Martinez into that, and I think that's the element that we'll talk about in these last 2 games where when Josef is on the same page with everybody, it's great, and it's wonderful. And now you add another attacker to help make that page a little bit bigger, make that page a little bit broader. I'm excited to see now with one more dangerous attacker and getting Josef back playing with this group consistently, what they can do.
Well, let's talk about those last 2 games because since we spoke to you last, Atlanta United played at Orlando, then they played at Montreal this last Wednesday. So here in Columbus will be the final game of the 3-game trip. But Atlanta United scored right off the bat. In fact, they had 2 different leads in Orlando Friday night.
Yeah, should have been able to see this one out. We'll talk about how it fell apart. But Josef Martinez starts it off very quickly, top of the 18, about 22, 23 yards out, a rocket. Orlando answered back as they gained control of the match in the rest of the first half. Kyle Smith gets loose on a corner, diving header. He gets there. Alec Can was huge in Orlando, and especially in the first half. 6 big first-half saves, none bigger than this one. To get low with the right hand and then watch the follow-up, because I think this got lost at the time. That ball's spinning back. If Alec Can loses his focus, that's ending up in the back of the net. Atlanta United start the second half. Orlando had them under a lot of pressure, but Anton Walk steps forward, helps the team with numbers, and he opens up space for Marcelino Moreno to do that. What a rocket. He goes straight to Rob Valentino. It's 2-1, Moreno was so big in this game. He's been so big over the last 6-7 games. None bigger than that moment. He finally gets that long-range bomb. But Orlando did not give up. Vandervader coming off the bench changed the game. He gets the goal to equalize, 87th minute, puts in the cross, picks out Nani for the match winner. Orlando found a way to come back, something they haven't always done against Atlanta.
You got to tip your cap to the Lions. Nani was named MLS Player of the Week for his exploits. Vandervader, very good, as Jason mentioned. So a 3-2 loss, which then took Atlanta United to Montreal Wednesday night. And this one was wild in a very different way.
Completely wild. It almost was wild to start with. Moreno and Joseph combining inside the 18. Watch Moreno continue his run. No one picks him up. He weaves in between. What a save from James Pantemis to keep him off the board. But this is where it really got strange early in the second half. Atlanta was good early, and then Montreal comes forward after a bad giveaway, and it's too easy for Kamal Miller. Then the pass from Torres, and then it's Mason Toy. Too easy, down the middle of the field. This is even easier, off a corner. Atlanta United lost their heads. They lose their focus. They give up a goal to Rudy Camacho. They regain their focus very quickly, though, almost right off the kickoff. Ezequiel Barco driving forward. Another rocket from the top of the 18 by Joseph Martinez, curls it inside the post. And then we hit a whole new level of weird pretty quickly. This is where the red card happens first. There's multiple red cards in this game. Rudy Camacho gets this one. He gets the arm up high, as you see there. He's not playing the ball. That's why it's a red and a penalty. Marcelino Moreno converts the penalty. Okay, 2-2. Feeling like things are a little bit different here now. Watch this. Moreno with the shot. There's a deflection. There's a handball shout. Behind everybody, Wanyama and Joseph are going at it. You see the hand to the neck from Wanyama. You see the reaction from Joseph Martinez. It's yellow card on the field initially. VAR gets involved. It turns into red card to both. Wanyama continued to provoke as they went to the tunnel. Montreal, 10v9, had maybe the best chance, took a deflection, almost beat Brad Gazan, comes off the crossbar. And this thing finished 2-2, like the complete opposite of the Orlando game, where Atlanta had 2 leads. They couldn't see it out. Montreal had the lead, took it to a 2-goal lead. They couldn't see it out, but you still feel like maybe there was more on the table for Atlanta. These last 2 matches, 180-plus minutes, have been some of the strangest matches in Atlanta United history, and they've got to build on what was good in them and go forward into a Columbus game where, I mean, your head's spinning after these last 2.
Yeah, you came back from 2 down to get a result on the road, and 2 goals down with about 20 minutes to play to get a result. That's really good. In fact, it's only happened twice before in Atlanta United history where they've come back from 2 goals down to get a result. Incidentally, all 3 of them were road matches. At Philadelphia 2017, at San Jose 2018, and now Montreal on Wednesday night. So that's a good thing. You like the fight. You like the response. You feel like maybe the goals that you allowed were self-inflicted mistakes.
There were some of those.
That's part of it. But I think a lot of soccer fans tend to forget that it's not an automatic win when you're playing with a man advantage, whether it be 11v10, 10v9. In fact, Atlanta United's played almost 80 minutes this year with 10 men. They haven't conceded a goal at all while playing with 10 men. We've seen Atlanta United lose matches 11v10 before. It happens all the time. So I think that's part of the feeling about the result as well. I'll take the road point, but I think it increases the urgency Saturday night here in Columbus to get a win.
Yeah, and it's going to be a little different without Joseph Martinez after the red card. Because of the time crunch, any kind of an appeal process is happening very quickly, and we have no updates on if there was an appeal or how that will look. It's a tough one because it's a judgment call. It's different than the Jake Mulroney appeal, for example, where there is a very specific way to point that was not denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity because of Santiago Sosa's positioning. That was easy to say, no, it doesn't meet that rule. This is a tougher one because it's a judgment call. So we don't know how this is going to go, but right now, as we record, Joseph Martinez out due to the red card for Columbus means Kubo Torres or Jackson Conway likely to start up top unless Rob Valentino gets creative.
We also think Miles Robinson's likely going to be in against Columbus on Saturday. He is on the road trip. Didn't want to play him Wednesday night after he had to go 120 minutes against Mexico in the Gold Cup final, where he literally won the Gold Cup for the U.S. men's national team. He had a terrific month at the Gold Cup.
Incredible tournament. Grown man defending right there against Canada. Just not letting anyone through. And this is something that all of you in Atlanta have seen over the years, the development of Miles Robinson. 1v1 defending, that was there from day one. That was never a problem. His work on the ball, his positioning, I think his leadership is one of the number one things that has grown, and it grew in this tournament. He was expected to be kind of the number 2 center back, with Walker Zimmerman getting a lot of the highlights. Zimmerman gets injured. Robinson has to step up and pair with James Sands, who doesn't always play center back for New York City. I thought Robinson did an amazing job to lead this team in knockout games, in big game situations that were not easy. And he did it in the attack as well. He did it on set pieces, none better than that. How about that, to win the Gold Cup, to beat Mexico in extra time? Miles Robinson, your greatest American hero for the last month.
It was really cool to see the reaction on Twitter, on social media, especially from a lot of people who don't tweet a lot about soccer, just talking about Miles Robinson, that accomplishment, the big win for the U.S. men's national team. Not only does it win the U.S. men's national team the Gold Cup, but I think now, Jason, this puts Miles squarely in the conversation to be with the U.S. men's national team when they get into the octagonal World Cup qualifying, which will include a match here in Columbus against Costa Rica behind us a couple months from now. It's really hard to imagine how Miles is not going to be in the group that's going to try to get the U.S. men's national team to Qatar.
For me, it's hard to imagine him not being on the field in the first match. I think he's the starting center back next to John Brooks. That's how big he's jumped in that depth chart. And the opportunity was presented to him with Zimmerman's injury, with a Gold Cup that wasn't bringing in the European-based players. Miles Robinson took advantage of it. But that's what he's done his whole career. Think back to 2017, where he didn't play much at all in his rookie year as a professional. 2018, kind of the same way in the first half of the season. And the second half, Atlanta United 2 was at home at Coolray Field for a series of games, a lot of Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday games because of the scheduling quirks. And he played a lot for Atlanta United 2 at the end of that season in the USL Championship. Started a playoff game in 2018 due to injury, and 2019 was a regular from day one and has continued to grow. I think the biggest 2 elements of his game that put him as a starter for the U.S. men's national team today with the first choice group are his leadership and his ability on the ball. The defending has always been there. His ability in the air has always been there. But on the ball, he can hurt you a couple different ways. His passing, long passing, excellent. We know that's a hallmark of Atlanta United center backs. He splits lines with his passes as well. Doesn't get enough credit for that. But he can also dribble past the first line of pressure. That first move where he can just touch it into space and blow past an attacker. Miles Robinson can not just defend well, but he can help start the attacks, and Greg Berhalter prioritizes those abilities out of center backs.
Okay, let's check in from the proving ground now. We told you the last time on the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff last week that there was an awkward scheduling quirk for Atlanta United 2. They had to play the same team, Birmingham Legion, twice in a row on the road. They got a result in the first match. They did not in the second match Wednesday night. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from that first match where they really fought back to get a draw.
Yeah, 2 teams that don't like one another, and you have them match up over 180 minutes. It's tough. The fight in Game 1 was very impressive from a young Atlanta United 2 side. Birmingham nearly took the lead in the first half. Shot deflects, goes off the crossbar. And then Aiden McFadden just says, look, I'm going to do this myself. On the end line, cuts it back and rips it with the left foot, his off foot, into the roof of the net. That thing's still rising as it hits the net. What a goal from Aiden McFadden, a revelation this season. Birmingham got a soft penalty. They equalized. A good attempt from Rocco Rios Novo, not able to get there. This is a great goal from Birmingham. Well worked. Picks out the far side netting. Nothing Rocco can do on that one. And it's 2-1 Birmingham, but Atlanta United 2 did not give up, nearly finding an equalizer on that one. A lot of stoppage time, an injury in stoppage time. The Twos didn't quit. Caleb Wiley gets forward, takes the shot. It's cleared off the line. And Darwin Mateus, who'd come on as a sub, slams it home. What a response from Atlanta United to a very young group on the road, difficult conditions. You can see the mud all over the uniforms. And they didn't quit, and they fought back to get a point. This is a team that is in the playoff race in the USL Championship Central Division, something the Twos haven't been in very often. And it feels like one of the youngest groups that the Twos have ever had. They're finding ways to get results, and big results, and they're in the thick of that race.
I like the resiliency a lot. And Jack Collison's had to mix and match lineups, obviously, because there have been first-team needs of second-team players right now. But Jack's done a very good job. I think he's been very creative at times in setting his teams and making selections. But you like that resiliency. And I think McFadden's really kind of the key to that. You know, as the pieces change around him, it feels like McFadden has played himself into a USL Championship best 11 discussion this year.
Aiden McFadden has played his way into that. He's going to be under consideration for an MLS deal because of his performances. I think Robbie Mertz has been outstanding as well here lately now that he's healthy. Really the linchpin in the midfield for this group. But you have to give credit, too, to guys like Caleb Wiley, 16. He's played almost 25 games in the USL Championship at this point at 16 years old. Noah Cobb comes into this team. He played at 15 years old, turned 16 before his second game. He's getting big moments and big performances. So this is a group that has a really good personality about them. You could see them get into the playoffs and make a run.
Okay, turning our attention back to MLS now. We've had a lot of matches since we last saw you on the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff. I think officially this is week 17 in MLS, starting last Friday night with that 3-2 Atlanta United loss to Orlando. Columbus, by the way, and we're going to talk about them quite a bit coming up, but that 4-1 loss to New York City combined with what they did the following Wednesday really jumps out to me. What else stands out to you here?
Yeah, New York City is on fire right now. 4-1 win there. They have really put up some goals. Ronnie Dyla has them going. New England 3-2 winners on the road over the Red Bulls last weekend. That was a big one. Vancouver finding some results here. It's a 2-2 at home against Minnesota, but they're competitive. Kansas City losing to Dallas shocked me. I didn't expect that one at all. Chicago fighting with Philadelphia, getting a 1-1. Toronto and Nashville a 1-1. The games are getting really tight right now.
Dallas, by the way, has been the giant slayer a little bit. They came back and got a point Wednesday night. Let's take a look at the Wednesday night results. And Dallas came back against Seattle. Now, Seattle's wobbly right now. They're really struggling with depth and injuries, but that ended up as a 1-1 draw. Again, we'll talk about Columbus. Their first road or home loss of the year, 4-2 to D.C. Philadelphia, meanwhile, continues to plug along.
Look at LAFC as well. Kansas City goes out there 4-1 winners. Philadelphia with a good bounce back after the draw, a 3-0 win over Toronto, who that's their first loss since they let Chris Armas go. They'd been on a nice little run of getting results, but that LAFC Kansas City game just immediately jumps out to me. 3 goals in the first half for Kansas City. They were all over LA, went up 4-0, gave up a late goal. Bob Bradley, there's some questions about LAFC right now. There's some questions. They've added a new forward. Mark Anthony Kaye is gone. You know, they never really replaced Walker Zimmerman. Now Eddie Segura is hurt. I don't know where LAFC finishes this year.
Meanwhile, Kansas City leading the Western Conference and starting to get into the Supporter Shield discussion now. New England, Seattle, kind of the teams at the very, very top of the Supporter Shield table at the moment. But we're halfway through the season now. Most clubs, including Atlanta United, have played 17 matches, so we've got a large enough sample size right now. And the matches are going to really start to accelerate. In fact, they really have started to accelerate. The way that the league set up the schedule to get everything done by the second weekend of November, you have to play a lot of matches between August and November. So it's going to come very, very quickly. That's going to be to the advantage of teams that have a lot of depth. Now, here is the schedule for this weekend with everything starting on Saturday here in Columbus, as well as down the road in Cincinnati, over the road, I guess you could say, in Minnesota, and up the road, I guess you could say, in Toronto. That Colorado SKC match could be very, very interesting. I think Colorado has been one of the surprise teams in the league this year.
Yeah, Colorado's grabbed my attention. I haven't known how to feel about Colorado, but Robin Fraser is taking pieces from other teams, players that maybe were thought of going to Europe at one point, didn't get the jump. They're getting late in a contract. Colorado's bringing them in and finding a way to make all the pieces fit. Robin Fraser's doing a very, very good job there. Chicago and Red Bulls. Chicago has been kind of all over the map. They had that little run of form where they were scoring 3 goals a game. Frankowski is now transferred out. He's going to France. What does that look like for Chicago? How do they start thinking about next year and maybe bigger changes? We'll have to see. Miami and Nashville. Nashville's a team who I think can compete deep in the Eastern Conference. Miami's gotten a couple of results here lately. They're battling. There's a lot of new faces in the league over this past week as well. And how quickly they can get integrated, how quickly do we see any of them this weekend, or is it the following week? Teams were very, very busy in this transfer window that closed yesterday, and I'm curious to see who got it right, who made some moves that can maybe change those fortunes from what we've seen so far.
Okay, Columbus, their fortunes have changed since they shut out Atlanta United at Mercedes-Benz Stadium 2 weeks ago. Since then, they've given up 8 goals in 2 matches. I think what stands out to me, Jason, and they're getting some help back, by the way. Jazzy's Artis is back for them after playing in the Gold Cup. He played as a sub on Wednesday. He'll play against Atlanta United, likely as a starter tomorrow. What stands out to me is if you can get the first goal on Columbus and you make them kind of uncoil a little bit and want to play, it can produce a situation where you can have some pretty entertaining soccer.
Yeah, Caleb Porter wants to sit. He wants to be secure with this team defensively, and he's had to make some changes with injuries along the way as well. Atlanta United wasn't able to get that first goal against them, but they had opportunities. In that match at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, they had opportunities, maybe none bigger than this one. Jake Mulroney just pushes it wide. No chance for the goalkeeper to get there. It was a good performance from Atlanta United. I think that's what was so frustrating about it. What a pass that almost sends Eric Lopez in again. It's another big save. Atlanta United had their chances to win the game against Columbus. A 1-0 win for Columbus, it didn't feel like a 1-0 dominant performance. They got their goal off a set piece, which we'll see in a second. Marcelino Moreno hadn't quite dialed that one up yet. This was one of the long-range bombs that did not find the back of the net. What a save. Left hand getting up to make that save, Aloy Room. Incredible save. Okay, they got their goal off a set piece. They win 1-0. Since then, it's been hard times for the Columbus Crew, and that really continued midweek. You see the scoreline at this point, 3-0 DC. Now, Columbus fought back in the second half. They found some goals. Jossy's Artis coming back into the team straight from the Gold Cup. That definitely helped. But the early portion of this match, giving up the goals that they did to a young DC team, was shocking to us when we were seeing the scoreboard up in Montreal. They did make a game of it. 3-2, they end up losing it. They don't find any more than that. Maybe they have some confidence coming off of their second half performance. Zelarayan slamming that one home. But 2 losses back-to-back and 2 losses where they conceded a lot. I'm curious as to what Caleb Porter's tactics are going to be against an Atlanta United team that, look, the reverse is the case. They've scored 4 goals over the last 2. They're starting to find some goals right now. Does Caleb Porter, at home where he's generally opened up a little bit more, does he decide to maybe sit early and see what Atlanta's got?
Yeah, Columbus has been much better at home than on the road this year. You could probably say that for just about every team in the league. But Wednesday was their first loss at home in either venue this year. They just moved into Lower.com Field behind us a couple weeks ago. They were playing up at historic Crew Stadium, which is where Atlanta United played them in 2017, 18, 19, and 21. This is also that very interesting series where Atlanta United dominated the first 2 years of the series, basically. And Columbus, really the turning point for them was that win that they got in September of 2019 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And since then, they have not lost to Atlanta United. But I really do feel if Atlanta United gets an early goal on Saturday, that's going to be huge. Mm-hmm. You want Columbus to be a team that's going to play more wide open. Caleb Porter is not going to give you that opportunity if they're in control of the match and if they're at least even or leading.
That win at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for Columbus in 2019 kind of set the blueprint for Caleb Porter in Columbus, because early on when he took over from Greg Berhalter, they have a different philosophy about the game. Caleb Porter's gotten more conservative over his career and came into the league as maybe more of a, not clone of Berhalter, but a lot closer in philosophy to him. He's gotten more conservative. They want to defend and counter, and that team needed time to transition from that, because under Berhalter, they played very differently than they do now. The first part of Caleb Porter's first year, they were still figuring that out. It was up and down with results. That game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, if you look back and draw a line from then to now, you'll see a team that is much more consistent in the way they approach it. And they've added players that fit playing that way. You have a guy in Lucas Zelarayan who can win a game by himself. You have a forward in Jossie Zardes who adapted to the Berhalter style, but I think is maybe a little more of a fit in Caleb Porter's way of playing. You've got speed on the flanks to get forward in those counterattacking opportunities. He kind of took some time to figure it out and maybe change the mentality of the group as a playing roster. But once he got that win at Mercedes-Benz, that seemed to be the light bulb moment.
Got to be so careful with Zelarayan, by the way. We saw in Atlanta 2 weeks ago on set pieces, he's one of the absolute best at delivering set piece crosses in this league. So that's something that Atlanta United is going to have to be very, very careful with Saturday night here in Columbus. Predictions.
We got both of ours right last time.
Oh, we nailed our predictions last time.
I would have taken the 3 points. Well, I would have taken the 3 points rather than that. But anyway,
of course, me too.
But
Jason predicted Atlanta United would score in the first 20 minutes. They almost scored in the first 20 seconds. I predicted that Atlanta United would get a goal from outside the 18-yard box. They actually got 2. Thought Moreno would be one. I certainly didn't think Joseph would be the other. Joseph's last 2 goals have been outside the 18-yard box, by the way. So that brings us to this week's predictions. Since you got yours right last week, you can go first.
Okay, putting me on the spot because you want to think about it. I know how this works.
Because I have no idea what I'm going to say.
Yeah, this is how we do this. This is we think about everything. We talk about the game. We get to this point, and we come up with a prediction based off where we've been.
Do you need another second?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Atlanta United's found goals here lately, and that's a good sign. One person who hasn't been involved in those goals as much as I think he can be did get an assist on the last one. That had an assist is Ezequiel Barco. I think Ezequiel Barco finds the back of the net against Columbus because I think there's going to be opportunities for him in the 1v1s. And look, Columbus is going to have to key on somebody. You know, they're probably not going to key on the number 9, but you always fixate on who the number 9 is going to be. If it's Jackson Conway, if it's Kubo Torres, center backs are going to have to deal with him. Okay. Marcelino Moreno has been incredible over the last month and a half, last 7 games. I mean, you go back and look, he's creating chances, he's finding goals, he's getting assists, he's beating people off the dribble. Moreno's going to draw a lot of attention. There's only so much attention that can be given. And I think Ezequiel Barco is going to benefit from that, especially inside the 18. Ezequiel Barco with a goal in Columbus.
Okay. I like it. My prediction is Atlanta United will outshoot Columbus.
Okay.
That's probably not enough. Probably need to throw some mustard on that. Atlanta United will have twice as many shots as Columbus.
Twice as many?
Twice as many. I could see a situation where Atlanta United outshoots Columbus 14-7.
Okay.
Or 10-5. I think Columbus's shot total will be very low. I think Atlanta's shot total will be very high. Feels like we've been in a lot of those matches lately where, and it's unfortunate that, it hasn't necessarily translated into goals. I just have a feeling Columbus is probably going to concede possession. They're going to sit back. Joseph Martinez's status for this match, uncertain at best, maybe out if his red card was not appealed. Now, I would imagine Caleb Porter might try to sit back, let Atlanta United come to them. And if Atlanta United takes a while to get the first goal in this match, or if they don't get the first goal in this match, Columbus, I think, really sits back. Atlanta United outshoots Columbus by a 2-1 or higher margin on Saturday.
That's bold. I like it.
Well, I made a bold one last week and it hit.
That's true.
So
That's
no risk
true.
it, no biscuit, right?
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff. I promise you again we're in downtown Columbus. Let's peel back the curtain. I'll show you. Yeah, that's Columbus. You see? See right there? That's Columbus. And that's why we couldn't show you Columbus until now. We'll be behind the camera. See how the light changes? But I didn't want people to think that we were just standing in front of it or sitting in front of a curtain. We are in downtown Columbus.
Yes.
And Saturday night, 7:30, we'll see you on the radio on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Don't get blinded by the light. And we'll see you next week on the AT&T Countdown to Kickoff.